Hey, get everyone to have a seat, please. We're going to get started here.
You'll be online for a little bit. I'll starting.
Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the 2021 Hard Winter Wheat Tour. My name is Aaron Harries. I'm Vice President of Research and Operations for Kansas Wheat in Manhattan, Kansas. It is great to see you all in person again. It's great to be out there in the field today. We got very fortunate on day one. I know on my route we had a few sprinkles, but otherwise it was a beautiful day. Lots of mud, which is also a good thing to see. Maybe a little bit too much rain in spots with some flooding that we saw along our route, but we're eager to hear reports from everybody today. So we do have some guests with us tonight. I can see in the room. It's tradition when we gather every evening on the wheat tour to go around and give introductions. I will give a disclaimer here. We are live streaming this tonight on YouTube, so you've got law enforcement looking out for you now. Or stay on that side of the room. You'll be just fine. But it's our way to extend our audience a little bit. I know we did this last year virtual, and we expanded our audience. Some of our friends from U.S. Wheat Associates around the world tune in. So hi guys, if anybody is online. But we'll go ahead with the program. We'll do the introductions. We're going to have reports, a crop report from Nebraska. I'll give a brief agronomist from this part of the state on what we saw today. Then we'll have you come up in groups and give your report from your routes. And then we'll release the final number, the average for today. And we'll conclude and go next door and have dinner. Okay? So let's go around and start with introductions. Please stand up, tell us your name, who you work for, and where you're from. John?
John Jenkinson, RFD TV and Sirius XM channel 147 out of Nashville.
Hi, Matt Wyatt. I'm the crops editor with the Drought.
Ben and Jeanette Hooding, local farmers, crop insurance agent.
Where do you farm?
Right here in Thomas County.
Sean Coverting, Corbion, Lenexa, Kansas. Josh Graves, RJ Brown, Body Brokerage from Chicago. Yep.
Josh Longton, Miller Milling, and Ottawa Twin Cities.
Clay Patton, KRVN, and the Rural Radio Network based out of Lexington, Nebraska.
Ernie Manuel, Kansas State University.
I'm Julie Wilson. I work with Warriors based in Chicago.
I'm Taylor Williamson with Kansas Wheat based out of Manhattan.
Fraser Egan with Corbion Ingredients based out of Lenexa, Kansas.
I'm Greg Evelblut, retired from Greencraft.
Dan Albee with Dan Albee Risk Management, Twin Cities. Thanks.
Marcia Boswell, Kansas Wheat, Manhattan, Kansas.
Brian Walker, Miller Milling, Minneapolis.
Kim Chipman, Bloomberg News, Chicago.
Max Slater with the Earthworm Foundation from Columbus, Ohio.
Jeannie Paul Jones, economist from Kansas State University, based here out of Colby. Sarah Aaron, Nebraska Wheat Board. And Osborne National Wheat Foundation out of Jamestown, North Dakota.
And I promised I would give her a couple minutes to tell about what she does for the National Wheat Foundation and how it ties in with our group.
Okay, thanks. I'm a program manager, and one of my projects is the National Wheat Yield Contest. So I thank you, some of you farmers, because Kansas has about 75 entries for the Winter Wheat National Wheat Yield Contest right now, which is great. And so I appreciate it. And so all of you that entered should get a little sample kit in the mail, so you can send in a sample, a 2.5-pound sample of your grain when you harvest. And I'm looking for, I hope to get about 150 entries in the spring wheat, and I'll have to shake some shake some trees up there in North Dakota to get that to happen. But the yield contest is going trip to the commodity, which is going to be in New Orleans in March of 22.
A lot of publication with your name and.
Yeah, other than the glory.
All the knowledge. You get the knowledge on how to raise high yielding, high quality wheat.
Yeah, and some of us struggle with, how do we get energy in the wheat industry, and how do we get people to care about us, and we're trying to get to be a small crop, and how do things change? And I think the wheat yield contest is one of those areas that's provided some energy into the wheat business, and we appreciate that.
Yeah, and the reason we have you send a sample to at harvest is because we're interested in quality. We're not just all about getting the highest yields possible, because we have to have good quality, as you know, so that we can sell our crop both domestically and export. So we, as a yield contest, are very interested to make sure that you guys are learning how do we do the best thing on my farm, best management practices to get the best yield, best quality, and we'd like it to be profitable for you too. So that is a different thing than maybe some yield contests, but it's a fun contest. We just encourage anybody, and I'm really proud of Kansas because that's a lot of entries. That's more than they've ever had. So I think, and what we saw today kind of bears witness to that. And so we have some people that are really hoping, here on out is a really good season, and those are winners. Now, they could be national winners. Thank you.
All righty, Jennifer Ladsky, formerly with High Plains Journal, now editor of Kansas Farmer Magazine. Oh, based in Dodge City.
Max Freeman, Graincraft. I'm the QA manager, and I supervise the elevator in our Kansas City, Kansas mill.
Hello, I'm Tim Ashbrenner with Graincraft out of Wichita, Kansas, director of flour quality.
Ron Sipas with the Wheat Commission, Kansas. My wife Shirley and I farm over around Lane and Scott County.
Clinton Amy France, we farm in Wichita County, Scott and Logan.
Evan Bocuse, Purefield Ingredients, Russell Can.
Wayne Bonder with Anderson's Trade Group out of Kansas City.
I'm Sam Wireback, commodity management analyst at Inspire Brands, which is headquartered in Atlanta, Georgia.
Steve Orlick, Senior Director of Commodities Analytics, Inspire Brands, Atlanta, Georgia.
Ryan Pitts, grain trader for Inspire, based in Atlanta.
Josh Reasoner, ADM Milling, based out of Oakland Park, Kansas.
Kenny Topham, Hillel Milling, Saginaw, Texas.
Brett Chapter, Health Food Ingredients, Watertown, South Dakota. Colin Pierce, Health Food Ingredients, Watertown, South Dakota.
Luna, I'm PhD student at East State, and I work for Dr. Lab.
Rich Kendrick, Great Plains Analytical Lab, Kansas City, Kansas. Vance Lamb, Ardent Mills, Overland Park, Kansas. Andrew Blueboff, Bayer Crop Science, the Westbred Commercial Manager for the Mike McGraw, Food Corporation, out of Kansas City. William Oscar, Treaty Beverage, this development manager for Booty. While you're up, tell us a little bit about Buki. You're new to the wheat tour, and what your company do, how to play wheat for the building.
Sure. So we do online and at-line solutions for NIR. So if you're doing fat, protein, moisture, peroxide value, carbohydrate, starches, things like that, we help you with that solution. We also provide Keldol, which is nitrogen, and then fat extraction for in laboratory primary techniques. If you have any questions, I'm here.
I'm Dave Green, New Quality Counsel with Alexa Kansas.
Levi Hall, I'm the grain division manager for Horizon Resources, and cooperative based out of North Dakota.
Chris Tanner, I see one that Kansas City.
Rita Otler, Jeff and Rose in Minneapolis.
David Sam, Ag Advisor for Senator Roger Moxell, Fair Creek, Kansas.
Gary Milishewski, Wheat Commissioner in Southwest Kansas, wheat, and I also farm down there. Always wanted to be a man outstanding in my field.
Lucas Haig, agronomist with Kansas State University Research and Extension based here in Colby.
Romulo Lalato, Extension Wheat Park Specialist with K-State, please auto Manhattan.
My name is Marty Draper with K-State in the Kansas Ag Experience Station.
Mark Nelson, Kansas Farm Bureau.
Austin Brands farm here in Thomas County.
Really, I want to, before the best Twitter people to follow in the country are here in this room. And I want to make sure that we get their names and so that everybody can see them. Jeannie is a extension from here.
Yeah, extension, Keep Research and Extension. Do you want my Twitter handle?
Yes, we want to.
Okay, it's at Crops with Jeannie, and it's JEANNE.
Okay, and Lucas Haig is also with extension here.
Yep. At Lucas A. Haig, H-A-A-G.
And the third is Romulo. You want to make sure they have your Twitter feed?
Yes, of course. So mine is at KSU Wheat.
And these people in your list, they're great followers, and we really appreciate all their work and keeping us informed. And they're funny and fun, and it's very good to have all of them.
That's a lot of pressure.
Well, thank everybody. And one of the best things about this board is always the diversity of this group. And it just amazes me every year. And hopefully you all learned a lot today. Let's do just a little quick raising hand survey here. The folks on camera, we won't be able to see this, but raise your hand if you saw for us today. Raise your hand if you saw trash in the field that looked like it was sprayed. Okay. Raise your hand if you saw an airplane spraying today.
That's kind of scary.
Raise your hand if you were in a
Well, there was one that had about this much moisture in it.
Raise your hand if you saw hail damage. Yikes.
A little.
A little bit. I think Marty saw a bad field. Yeah. Chris had, you know about that. Anybody see barley yellow door? Okay. That's a lesser known disease, but it does have some impact. Did anybody see wheat streak mosaic virus today? Okay, there's gonna be a lot of hands tomorrow night when we ask that question. So that's something to keep an eye out for tomorrow. David, you saw something? How many of you saw ladybugs? Oh, good Lord. The Friends of Wheat, they are thick this year. A lot of ladybugs and larvae, so they eat the aphids and green bugs, so that's a good thing to see. So don't push it.
I even saw a little army worm in the head of the tree.
You did? Not good. All right, moving on. Let's have a report first from Sarah. I'm gonna put you on the spot from Nebraska. Sarah Aarons is with Nebraska Wheat, and she's got a report on what the crop looks like in Nebraska. I know some of you went up into Nebraska, and we'll hear from you later on. Sarah?
Yeah, I'll just do a quick rundown of what USDA's sent out so far this year, and then I'll talk a little bit about what producers are saying. But all in all, Nebraska planted 900,000 acres of wheat this year, which is about steady with what we planted last year. We're forecasted to have 36.7 million bushels harvested at about 47 bushels per acre. They're estimating at harvesting about 780,000 acres, which is down 50,000 from last year. So that's kind of where USDA is putting us. And then the crop progress report for this year, they've got us at 4% very poor, 10% poor, 38% fair, 42% good, and 6% excellent. We're 8% headed, which is near 4% last year, but behind the 18% average. And then I call all of our producers about every week on Tuesdays or today, just to kind of get an outlook as to what's going on in their area. And basically what everybody said today was kind of the same. They got some moisture, anywhere between 40 hundredths to 2 inches, depending on where they were at in the state. That alleviated some topsoil moisture to add to it, but everybody reported that the subsoil is still very poor. So they're really fretting dry, windy conditions, knowing that they're not going to have a lot of that moisture there to help sustain it. There has been some stripe rust located in the southern part of the southeast as well as the southwest. Some aphids were reported. There was some hail damage between the Grant and Ogallala area, which is in the southern panhandle of Nebraska. And then some of the guys are reporting that the later emerged wheat is far behind the early stuff, and so it's really going to prolong harvest as we get into that season. As far as yield condition or yield reports that they gave me, the northern panhandle had anywhere from about 55 to 78, but again, reported if they don't receive rain, and I think they only got a half an inch this past week, they said you can go ahead and cut that number in half. The southwest, I know the southern portion of the southwest corner is doing better than the northern portion. They're averaging anywhere between 40 bushels in the southern portion up to 60 in the north. The southern panhandle, 30 to 60 again, depending on where the rainfall's been at. South central region, they're about steady in the 40s to 50 area. And then the southeast has averaging about 70. So that's kind of what Nebraska is looking like. I will say, if you guys are interested, I do a weekly crop report that I send out via email. If you would like added to it, email wheat.board@nebraska.gov, or just come talk to me sometime tonight and I can get your email to add you to it, or it's always posted to our Facebook and Twitter pages at Nebraska Wheat. So thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. We received a written report from Brad Erker with Colorado Wheat and crop in Colorado, and I'll just read a little bit of that to you, give you kind of a rough update. The Colorado crop is estimated at 64.5 million bushels at abandonment rate. That would leave 1.3 million acres to be harvested. Colorado wheat's estimate is for an average of 37.3 bushels per acre, average across the state. NASS estimates it at 57.8 million bushels total crop. Okay, so Colorado wheat estimates the crop at 64.5. NASS estimate was 57.8. NASS estimated 17.1% abandonment and 1.7 million acres harvested. So NASS has a little bit higher percentage of abandonment. Their bushel per acre average was 34 for NASS, 37.3 for Colorado wheat. County averages range from 15 to 53 bushels an acre, with conditions gradually increasing as you move north and east. So if you've been following the situation in Colorado, pretty devastating dry conditions for most of the season. Southeastern Colorado was the worst hit of all of them. Recent rains and snows in the past few weeks, too late to do any good. Yield estimates for Southeast Colorado range from 5 to 30 bushels an acre. Abandonment, Brad says, will be significant. 10% in Prowers County, 40% Baca County, 65% for Kiowa County, which has been in D4 drought and is still in D2 drought. So big abandonment in Southeast Colorado. East Central Colorado, a little bit better. Yield estimates range from 10 to 67 bushels per acre on dryland fields. Disease pressure very low, not wet enough for disease probably. Crop stage is jointing to flag leaf, and Colorado, Northeast Colorado is the best region in Colorado. Yield estimates range from 22 to 80 bushels per acre on dryland fields. Disease pressure is very low, no stripe rust, some occasional barley yellow dwarf. Soil moisture is in very good shape with adequate to abundant rain over the past 4 weeks. And no wheat stem sawfly yet in Colorado. So wheat stem sawfly, big concern in Nebraska Panhandle, northeastern Colorado. Jeannie and Lucas stand on the border and keep them in Colorado and Nebraska so far. So they've been doing a good job. Always have your eyes open for them, I guess. All right, so that's Nebraska and Colorado report. What I'd like to do now is turn to our local specialist here to talk about Northwest Kansas, the western part of the state in general, how the crop has moved through the year, kind of what it looks like in the region around here. You know, we don't get too far into Northwest Kansas. Our routes out in Goodland was out there a month ago, really dry. It's changed dramatically since then. So why don't we start with Jean Bob Jones? She's an agronomist.
Hey, so just to give you a little idea, I officially cover 3 counties right here. In all reality,
A lot of guys have my phone number, so I cover a much wider area than that. But I would have actually looked at wheat in Plain County and working my way to Colby this morning. So that's kind of the area that I was looking at wheat. So when Aaron was asking for hands to be raised, I was raising my hand because I looked at wheat all morning today too. I had my mud boots on because it is pretty wet over that direction, which is a very exciting thing for us. So starting back at the drilling time, I would say that we had pretty dry conditions when we were drilling. And so as you work your way through some of these counties, you're going to see more uneven stands. And that really is just based on moisture that we had at drilling time. And it goes back to farming practices. And if you happen to be under the cloud that got a little bit of a shower, and there wasn't many of those clouds around. And so you'll see some uneven wheat, and you'll even see it actually visually in the field where you'll see bumps and certain areas look like it came up earlier. A lot of that is kind of evening up in growth stages right now, but you'll see thinness. There's also some fields that came up really well. And so we have some nice wheat fields over in the area too. Up until about 2 weeks ago, as you were driving around, you may start to see the drought stress showing up. We were seeing some of the spots were rolling up tight and looking kind of drought stressed. And so we were seeing that the moisture that we've got in the last 2 weeks has kind of helped alleviate some of that. So we're seeing some of that kind of helping even things back out a little bit. As you move on down, follow that western tier, and I've been kind of down in southwest Kansas just a little bit, and it gets higher and tougher wheat conditions as you go further south. And I see the farmers in the room that are down in that area nodding their heads because that is very much the case. So let's see. One thing that we get a lot of phone calls on in the spring is making decisions on spraying a herbicide. We were dry enough that we weren't seeing a lot of yields because we just needed the moisture to get weeds germinated. There was some, but not to the same amount as we may be typically seeing, although a lot of guys went ahead and put a herbicide out because of a thinner stand and the chance that we would get moisture and we would have a flush of the weeds that came up through it. So part of this was very preventative management and fields that were a little bit thinner. Right now, hot topic is stripe rust with our growers because we've had stripe rust weather. We've had cool conditions Chris really loves. And so we're really listening to the South to understand a little bit better of the amount of a non-stripe rust to help farmers make good, sound, agronomic and economic decisions on putting a fungicide out on some of their varieties. We're telling a lot about prioritizing based on the variety susceptibility for stripe rust. So while you guys were seeing planes running today, there is some of that in the area, but I think everybody has a very cautious look at this because we just aren't seeing a lot of pressure coming up to our area with stripe rust. Aaron mentioned wheat streak mosaic. Wheat streak mosaic, we're seeing a little bit in spots. Also, to have wheat streak mosaic, you have to have moisture to get volunteer up and growing. And so last fall, we didn't have quite as much of that as we have in other times. And so while I am finding wheat streak mosaic in certain fields, it's not widespread. And a lot of our growers very much understand the value of controlling volunteer because the volunteer wheat, the wheat chromites live in that. The wheat chromites are the ones that move the virus into our new weeds. And so not as much pressure, although there definitely are hot spots of seeing wheat streak mosaic across the area. Other things that we're getting questions on, Russian wheat aphids, which are kind of a novelty thing to see in the field right now. And we don't see a ton of it, but occasionally a farmer will send me a picture. And what that is this aphid wraps up the wheat leaf and it kind of has purple and white stripes on it. And so it's more of an interesting thing, although many of my growers who've been at this for a lot longer than I have say Russian wheat aphids definitely were something that we used to, Dave is nodding his head in the back. It's definitely something that used to be more of a concern and now it's more novelty. But I get the question is this coming back? We're seeing more of it. And I don't know that we quite know the answer to that yet, but I just have gotten a couple of farmers who've sent me pictures to me on that this year.
We've seen that in Oklahoma too, which we've really done this year for some.
Yeah, so it's more of an interesting thing that we're seeing it in that it's not very often, I mean, it's not like I walk into the field and can see them. It's just kind of an interesting thing because it catches your eye because it's such a different look on the plant with the leaf rolled up and the purple and white stripes on the leaf. So with that.
Yeah, Gene, what would you say? Is there a relation, does corn have any influence on wheat streak mosaic?
We should probably have somebody else answer that question. So if you look at the publication from K-State on wheat streak mosaic, it ranks the different alternative hosts for the phromites and for wheat streak mosaic. Certain types of corn can serve as a host for the wheat chromites, although far and away what they like the most is volunteer wheat. Lucas and Romulo are nodding their heads. Do you guys want to answer that?
That's a really important point. The thing we often struggle with growers is they'll look at this big old long list of stuff that hardly goes fire sand light. Because we're always wanting to blame it on somebody else. We're wanting to blame it on the CRP next to us or somebody's corn or whatever.
Foxtails in the ditch.
Foxtails in the ditch, but we miss the fact that volunteer wheat is orders of magnitude more risky than anything else that's on this list. And so the technical answer is yes. It can play a role, but that's not. So we're understand our neighbor, yelling at our neighbor.
How much hail damage did you see?
So there's
Isolated general, what would we see?
So if you follow the strip of a couple of storms went through, it's pretty significant damage. And it's hail damage in other spots. But in fact, there was a storm that started up here in Cheyenne County and worked its way clear down here south of Colby, maybe a little further south. And if you follow that strip, that's pretty significant hail damage there. Now, I walked out in the field this morning that was on the very edge of that, and there was some damage. Mostly it is the boot, the wheat heads are not emerged yet. Wheat was not even quite in the boot. And so it bent over the very top collar on a flag, on the base of the flag leaf, bent that over, and some of the awns are stuck inside of there. And so you can see wheat heads pushing their way out the side, trying to get loose from where that stem had, or where the collar had that came. That was the very marginal damage that I saw. You get into some other spots and it's not mowed to the ground, but some of it is significantly damaged.
That missed your house, Davis?
I think it's,
Yeah, it would have been east of his house.
Lucas Haig is the Northwest area agronomist at K-State. Lucas, you had anything from your perspective to add to what Jeannie said?
Yeah, no, Jeannie's done a real good job there. You know, and the whole deal with Wheat Street Mosaic come up, and it really ties in. And Jeannie mentioned, we had a lot of guys really caught in the catch-22 planting time. But by that point in time, moisture was running in. And so we've seen, I would say in general, seen more earlier planting this year than we had in a long time. And part of that was we had moisture to plant on, and guys were looking at the forecast. And like here in Thomas County, I would say on average, I think most of our wheat went in 7 to 10 days earlier than what I would consider normal. And it played out with good reason too, because we did run out of moisture. And so a lot of this unevenness you see in these fields is stuff that either got planted into moisture. We had areas that then didn't catch another skip of moisture till November, which brought some additional weed germinate and emerge until after the first of the year in some areas. The rest of the year has really been about us riding the edge of the razor. I mean, things look wet now, but we have had very timely rains. This wheat really does not have a reason to look as good as it does. Snow over a pretty large area that bailed us out the first time. We caught a decent rainfall event there in March that bailed us out again. And really the wet fields are walking in today is the third time we've really
quite a bit this season. Aaron mentioned Kyle and Bob Johnson and work East Colorado does extend into southwest Kansas. Tomorrow, those of you that go down into that Ulysses or Johnson area, you're going to see some